Hello and welcome to another edition of Agenda 2063 TV show, the only show in Ghana, the region, the continent, telling you authentic stories about Africa's integration. And even though we spend the better part of the series talking about issues around the African Continental Free Trade Area, we always get back to the issue of Agenda 2063. My name is Ike Benson Jr., happy to be coming your way at AAU67, AAU TV official on Instagram, and all the other social media platforms. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us to hear our programs. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break, and we're just going to be getting straight to our guest, Myriam, who is currently waiting for us patiently on Zoom. She's logged on, and we have a few other participants who are also online as well. Myriam is a lawyer based in Abidjan, and she's going to be talking to us today about Business Connect 2035. Today, 2063 gets a backseat as it watches 2035 creep closer for a very important conversation still on the African Continental Free Trade Area. Thank you, and Myriam, if you are there, we are ready to have this important conversation.
Agenda 2063 is still an important part of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Are there any synergies? What do you plan, or rather, how do you plan to link Agenda 2063 with this Agenda 2035? Because it's quite novel. I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing this 2035 milestone. You mentioned the World Bank and the AfCFTA Secretariat being the reasons why you're mentioning 2035. But in your view, why is it that we don't hear so much about the 2035? Do you think it is because Africans generally are skeptical that we keep mentioning or offering milestones, and when it gets to the dates, we have problems? Like 2020, for example, was silencing the guns, but because of COVID, it had to be rescheduled 10 years. How confident are you that we will still have a conversation every year for the next 5 years about 2035 in different regions? Because I understand that you're going to start off with West Africa with this conference, but you want to put in different regions as well. So how confident are you that by the time you are done with the different regions, we will still be talking about a scenario of 2035?
Okay, great. So that's great. So for me, the context, the Agenda 2063 is the context, the general context, the vision for an Africa that thrives. And within that vision, we have the milestone of 2035. And I believe that on the continent, one of the reasons why sometimes we can be resigned might be because we might not monitor our progress and our performance on a regular basis. So, for instance, I can declare that I will be a millionaire or a billionaire by year 2035. I can make that declaration today. And if next month, next year, I don't look at where I am and I don't measure my performance against what I said that I would achieve in 2035, then what's predictable is that by year 2035, it's not going to happen. So what's different with Business Connect 2035 is that not only we will reach out to each of the regions of Africa, and also our purpose is really for businesses to connect across border and also language barriers. So during the conference, at least in West Africa, there will be translation available for French speaker, English speaker, even the Lusophone also will be able to join, so that we really all take advantage of the opportunity that is the AfCFTA. It's a continental trade area. It's not a regional trade area. It's not a national. So we are really thinking beyond borders here and at the level of the continent. And equal where I am.
Yes, your clone keeps telling us that you're giving Portuguese.
So as I said, just to clarify, so it will be available for African to speak any language.
So there are different languages that will be available. I like your explanation. I really like the fact that it's going to be in different regional groupings, and that there's going to be translation as well. Because oftentimes, as you know, in many of these conferences, the Francophones complain that the lingua franca is English too much, and there should be, different conversations. Online in November, is there likely to be, let's say, a physical meeting of this, novel, innovative conference on the continent? Is this something that you can foresee?
Yes, just so your microphone was muted, so I missed, part of the question, but I get the end. So right now, the conversation will be virtual for obvious, health reason. We are still in the midst of a pandemic, and we also care about the well-being of our population. And so as soon as we will all be able to move across the continent, the vision is to meet in person and to have this conversation in person, and more importantly, to allow businesses really to connect. That's the reason why it's Business Connect, to connect and to do cross-border transactions, to actually work together.
Fantastic. Now, Myriam, I'm sure you already know there was a meeting in Dakar about 3 weeks ago on single currency, organized by the UN Economic Commission for Africa. In the report, one of the things that came out was that East Africa is very strong on digital infrastructure, reason for which it has made a lot of progress on M-Pesa and all these other fintech, developments. Now, yesterday or 2 days ago, I read something in the news that West Africa is very strong on regional gas transmission. So they're saying that ECOWAS's West Africa gas pipeline, for example, that connects Ghana, Togo, Benin, and then I think it has Nigeria as well, and it has some partnership from Chevron, and it's been running since 1982, is a model coming from West Africa that can help inform regional gas pipelines across the continent. So in Central Africa, they don't have it. Even in East Africa, they have something, but Tanzania is thinking about doing a pipeline. Mozambique as well has natural gas reserves, all these things. In your view, when we're looking at 2035, now that you're starting off with West Africa, this news of West Africa being a model, for example, on regional gas pipeline on connectivity, East Africa being a leader on digital infrastructure, what do you think we can use this information for going forward in subsequent conferences of Business Connect 2035?
Yes, I mean, it's actually great that we are quite diverse in terms of skills and what we each accomplish in different regions. So what's great with that is that we can first learn from each other and use the strength of each region. And I would say the private the businesses in the private sector of this region, let's say in West Africa, for instance, it can be the energy or oil and gas sector, could be quite effective at doing business in East Africa, for instance, and then share the skills there. And the same thing with East Africa. I mean, since East Africa is leading the way in terms of the digitalization of Africa, doing business in West Africa makes a lot of sense for the main players there. And this is what the opportunity of the AfCFTA is to facilitate these kind of cross-border transaction and transfer of skills.
And Myriam, having said that, of course, since we know the maiden edition is focusing on West Africa, can I already suggest, since we know the strengths of West Africa and East Africa, each region has their own strengths, of course. I think SADC is very good on renewable energies, for example. Central Africa has some strengths which on oil. I think Gabon, for example, was talking about Equatorial Guinea, doing some things on AfCFTA a week or two ago for Africa Energy Oil Week in South Africa in November. But may I suggest that the conversation on digital infrastructure is so important now that conversations like e-commerce are taking place at the AfCFTA Secretariat, you know, because more people are at home now behind them, their laptops and their computers, and therefore they're shopping online a lot. So the AfCFTA Secretariat is doing a lot of work on making sure that e-commerce transactions, conversations are speeded up. May I suggest that since East Africa is probably leading on the digital infrastructure on the continent, perhaps the second edition after this maiden one, you know, target East African companies because of the experience that they have. Ones like, you know, that the report came out the other day that M-Pesa is doing great stuff on the continent. We know that East Africa is leading on that. We are all using mobile money, as you know, but sometimes some of us complain, like over here in Ghana, sometimes it takes forever to do a mobile money transaction. But I know some Ghanaians who have been to East Africa and talk about your mobile money transaction being done in less than 2 minutes. It takes 3 times that amount, 3 times that time to do it here in Ghana. Can we say that East Africa, it is East Africa's time now to bring in their expertise to bear on the conversations on the African Continental Free Trade Area? You talked about cross-border conversations, transactions, and things like that. We know that East Africa is doing very well on that. Can we now begin to, even before we start the November one for West Africa, start speaking to East African companies, East African friends, East African business people to also pay attention to this one coming in November to see what lessons they can learn as we prepare ourselves for the November one?
Yes, that would make a lot of sense. And what's great with the November event is that in the afternoon, so in the morning, we will have panelists and several keynote speakers. And in the afternoon, we have several breakout rooms. So we could have one breakout room dedicated to the digitalization of Africa. And in the afternoon, they could have, there could be a whole session which will focus on that with guests and participants from Africa. That would make a lot of sense.
Great. If you have a little bit of time still, may I just take a minute to find out whether some of those who are logged on have a quick question that they would want to ask?
Yeah.
So any of those who are logged on, do any of you have questions you may want to ask? Myriam? My tech people, are there any hands up? So can we get a picture of the screen so that we see who has a question to ask, and if they can unmute very quickly? Anyone with questions? Do we still have I believe we have 5 or 6 participants. If there are no questions,
there is a question. I see a question in the chat.
Okay, my production team, please, if you can check if you can open the screen so I can see the question for the chat.
And it's a lady named Caroline Caranja. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. who is asking, can we leverage on the strength of each region as a guiding action point as a way forward? And so I think I can, this question straight away. So yes, I mean, that for me, that's really the whole opportunity of the AfCFTA. We have a lot of skills available on the continent. For instance, I am in the Ivory Coast. If I want to digitalize, I would say, my company or my law firm, why would I have to go all the way to Silicon Valley or to France, because that's the reflex here in Francophone Africa, when in East Africa, there might be a service provider who can assist us. That's the whole point of the AfCFTA. So, and for that to happen, we need to start to communicate together, even if we don't speak the same language. I don't think that doing business necessarily require that we speak, when I say the same language, English, French, etc. There are so many ways to communicate. So we just need to start connecting with each other and learning from each other. Okay, what's available in your country, in your region, and connect. And this, for me, that's the only way the FTA will be a success. Now, I think our governments and the African institutions did a great job by creating this tremendous platform. Now it's for us, the private sector, to really play in this playground and make the most out of these opportunities. And we are talking potentially of a market 1.5 million. So yes, I think that's the opportunity to leverage on the strength of each region. And I would say for the first time, I would say in the recent history of this continent, we now have a framework that allows us to do that in an effective manner.
Myriam, that's a pretty ambitious statement.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, because in this age of AfCFTA, we need to be bold and ambitious. I think I'm quite happy for the fact that this is probably the first time we're talking about a new date beyond 2063, which is earlier than 2063, where we can, where we have, a date that is measurable, and it's going to be done in 5 regions. But of course, one important clarification to make is that there are 8 regional economic groupings: ECOWAS, SADC, COMESA, EAC, the SENSAD, which we don't hear much about, the African Arab Maghreb Union. I think we specified 5 RECs. Can you kindly clarify for us which are the 5 regional groupings we intend to carry this 2035 conversation on?
I mean, I would say I see, yes, 5. I see the Maghreb region, West Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, and Southern Africa.
Okay.
These are the Fantastic. 5 regions that I see, and it's really a fantastic opportunity for the continent. And it's now up to us to look at what we can do to take advantage as a member and participants of the private sector to work with each other, really, and across border.
Great. I see a question from Caroline. Caroline, if you can kindly ask your question. Wasn't too clear on it. I'll be very happy. But we're just seeing that there are a number of women on the platform who have tuned in. We're very happy to see that. This is consistent with aspiration 6 of Agenda 2063, which talks about a people-centered and inclusive Africa where women and youth are involved. This is very good. At a time that we have an African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat about to hold a business forum for women around November or so, it's good to see women playing a very active role. Myriam, what would you want to recommend as we begin to wind down the show for women? What is it that you think we can do with this Business Connect for women? Of course, we know that women, you said it in the preamble, the beginning of the show, but what specifically, in your view, is there that we can do for the women and youth of the continent with this 2035 Business Connect? Because private sector that you talked about that would do business across the continent is already private sector. Some may argue that are already quite empowered. They have big capital, they can do a lot of things, they can fly from one country to another. The youth certainly cannot do that. Not all women certainly can do that, even though they do cross-border trading. So for the generality of the women who populate the conversation around, cross-border trading, and generally, what parting words would you like to leave for them? What thing would you like to tell them about 2035 that would give them a little bit of hope? Now that we're no longer focusing on 2063, but we're looking at an earlier date of 2035, which is just like 10 or 12 years away.
Well, I would say that first, what I'm noticing in the Ivory Coast, and I believe it's probably correct in most countries in Africa, that women are actually very dynamic in business. I mean, you see women traders, I mean, they are really dynamic. And they already, as a matter of fact, before the pandemic, at least, they were already, at least from Côte d'Ivoire, going to Nigeria, stopping Ghana, and doing business in this region. They are already dynamic. I wouldn't say that they need to be empowered. They are already empowered, including, the woman who sells in the market. They have lots of ideas, and I think for me, it's really this platform, Business Connect, will be an opportunity also for women and young people and the youth to participate. So this conference is for everyone. And later we will send the link. We will send you the link so that people can start registering for the conference. And as I said in the afternoon, because it will be November, and as you know, the 19th of November is Women Entrepreneurship Day. There will also be a specific breakout room for women. And we are very inclusive. My vision is really to have every woman on the continent represented. So I'm included, the one who is highly educated, the one who didn't have the chance to go to school and who is very business savvy, and the one who is probably in school, at university right now, a young woman who is thinking about her future. So the AfCFTA is for us, for women, men, and the youth of this continent. So come and join us on the 4th of November.
Great. All right. So basically, thank you for that very important response. And I know you need to be somewhere, Myriam, and we really appreciate the time that you have spent for us. And I'm sure you've been excited by the different guests who have also tuned in. Let me just say finally that you are doing this conference in connection together with the African Continental Free Trade Area Policy Network. Mm-hmm. In your view, why do you think the AfCFTA Policy Network was the right one to approach for a conversation like this?
I believe it was the right platform. First, because we're looking for a partner in a country which didn't speak French. So the vision wasn't to create a francophone conference, we Continental. And the fact that first you're based in Ghana, which is close to the Secretariat, so to the leadership of the AfCFTA institutions, that's very key. And also, you also have a Pan-African reach, which is crucial for the success of this conversation.
Fantastic. And I'm sure you may now know that the AfCFTA Policy Network has a footprint in Mozambique. It now, just last month, just earlier, about a week ago, has opened up in Zambia as well. So we hope to be taking the Southern African conversation through in Zambia, Mozambique, and all these other spaces.
Exactly.
Hoping to reach out to East Africa very soon.
Yeah, and that's the purpose, really. I mean, I'm very committed to including the Lusophone, Hispanophone, and the Arabophone of the continent to this conversation.
Fantastic, Myriam. Your parting words to not just to viewers of AAU TV, but also to those who have taken time to log on.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm very grateful for this platform and for the partnership that you're providing. And really thank you for having us, and come and join us on the 4th of November, 2021.
Thank you very much, Myriam. And thank you for the great work that you're doing. You've done across the continent, the region, and you continue to do. And nice engagement with you, nice having you with us as well. Thank you, and we hope you have a great day. And thank you for really squeezing time out of your busy schedule to speak with us.
Thank you, Emmanuel, and have a great day too, wherever you are in Africa. Bye-bye.
Okay, all right. All right. Thank you very much. So that was Myriam Carius, and she's a lawyer. You can find more information on our platform, social media platforms. You can get this video on YouTube as well. And you can go to tv.aau.org to get all the videos of the production team of Association of African Universities. There are other shows that they do on a regular basis, which you can find all of them there on the tv.aau.org. For this show, you can also find it there, but you could also find it on YouTube just by Googling Agenda 2063 TV show. We appreciate all the people who have taken time out and do take time out every week or so to, check out our videos. And we are confident that we're making impact on important content on the African integration story. My name is Ike Benson Jr. The segments on here in East Africa and APRM Watch will definitely be back next week. We're not able to bring it this week, and we hope to carry and continue the conversation about the importance of the African Union and its institutions, no matter how slow the AU may appear to be. We've seen it with ECOWAS, we've seen it with AU. They are the only institutions we have. Let's not make the mistake that the Europeans made with Brexit and not appreciate the value that these AU institutions have for us. No matter how much we don't understand, let's take time to read our Agenda 2063. Let's take time to speak to people who know more about these issues than we do, so that we can get a better appreciation of the great institution that the African Union is, and the great program that the Agenda 2063 is for the youth, women, and the rest of the peoples of the continent. My name is Ike Benson Jr. Nice to be coming your way. This way, next week we'll be coming up with another interesting edition. So I hope to speak to you next time. Have a great day. Goodbye.